Drugs, hey yo, turn that up, Charles! I'm Mac and I've got your back. Today we're reviewing Schedule 1, a game all about slinging illegal substances. As always with early access titles, it bears noting that said status as early access bears no relevance to this video. We abide by a simple philosophy here at the Jedivision. If it's ready to be released, it's ready to be reviewed. If it's good enough to charge money for, then it's good enough to be held under scrutiny as is any other game, early access or not. But that's enough tooting of our own horn, let's review this thing. The opening segments of Schedule 1 acts both as its tutorial and catalyst for the wider game. You begin as a small-time drug dealer in a ho-hum town, living and manufacturing drugs on its outskirts in an RV on a ranch with your Uncle Nelson. After doing your thing and returning home, it gets raided by the cops. Uncle Nelson is put into custody, but you manage to escape in your RV. You drive over to a city called Highland Point, where you'll have to carve out a living from scratch the only way you know how. Selling drugs. From here, the narrative peters off. Your Uncle Nelson will still call you every now and then to show you the ropes in the first few segments of the game, but it becomes obvious that Schedule 1 is more of an open-ended kind of sandbox than anything else. That may or may not change in the future, but that's how it is now. Anyways, you start with growing marijuana in a dingy motel, harvesting and packing each and every gram by yourself. Then it's a matter of finding people to sell to. In order to get people to buy your product, you first give them free samples. If they're satisfied, they'll call you up every now and then to get some of that sweet product. And that's where you'll make that cold hard cash. Each customer you sway will open up new potential buyers, but more importantly, dealers, who in exchange for an upfront fee and cut of each sale will sell your drugs autonomously, so long as you keep them topped up on product. Selling to customers and supplying your dealers has to be done out of prying eyes. Police patrol the city, and if they catch you doing suspected illegal activities, they'll try to apprehend you. Even worse, they set up checkpoints at certain locations around the city, where they'll search you for product. Although if you're slick, you can conceal them. There's also a curfew. If you're out too late, the police will arrest you on site. But deals made at this time grant a monetary bonus to your sales, so it's well worth the hassle. If the police do try to chase you down, you can evade them by staying out of their sight long enough. Though if you get arrested, you'll forfeit any illegal substances you might have had and pay a fine. A somewhat annoying setback. As time goes on, you'll also unlock new drugs to manufacture. Aside from weed, you can make meth and cocaine with their own methods of production, and can be sold for higher prices. There are many different areas in Highland Point, from a dismal suburban section, industrial docks, to a high-end downtown. As you progress, the expectation of your potential customers will be set higher. In the lower tier areas, they'll pretty much take whatever you give them, but in high-end places, they're a little pickier. You can impress them by catering to their preferred effects, done by purchasing certain ingredients and combining them with certain drugs, which creates all new products that can also be sold for higher prices on the market. Eventually, your network of customers and dealers will get so big that you'll need to expand to keep the city supplied with that good stuff. Buying better equipment and property. You can purchase an apartment and house to make drugs in, and then even a barn and dockyard to really get that stuff mass-produced. To automate the process, you can hire staff to do mostly everything for you, from growing plants, mixing ingredients, and packaging the end result. You can only deposit so much money into your bank account, limited to $10,000 a week. This is a problem, especially if you want to make larger purchases like property and cars, since legitimate stores don't accept cash, only debit payments. To get around this, you can purchase legal businesses to launder money into your bank account. However, each business can only launder so much in a day, so you'll have to buy a bunch of them as more money rolls in. From there, it's just a matter of getting everything optimized, setting up assembly lines to make as much product as possible to sell for as high of a price as possible, and getting that sweet cash. Schedule 1 starts out really strong. We love the feeling of being this low-level dealer making do in a rundown motel, picking up dead drops and dealing with customers on a street level, all while slowly expanding the network and laying the foundation for our drug empire. And graphically, the game has its own little style going on. It's simple, cartoonish, kinda goofy. It reminds me of Rick and Morty. I hate that show. We'll also give a shout out to the music as well. Most are notable for these unearthly, dreamlike, sentimental tunes that the game will play every so often. Which feel very fitting for the game. We'll also have some more intense tracks in there as well. The music really does have its own style and goes a long way into allowing Schedule 1 to characterize itself. Unfortunately, gameplay does get old quite fast. Once you buy the house and can hire employees to automate things, it doesn't really evolve past keeping inventory stocked around your manufacturing hubs and dealing drugs to your higher paying customers personally. It doesn't really feel like you're playing as a drug kingpin, as the game would describe it, more so a drug mid-level manager. You don't have to worry about law enforcement, they won't raid any of your obvious drug operations. Even if they do chase you down, they're very easy to lose. Since you're never at any legal risk due to your drug manufacturing, you don't really feel like you're running a criminal enterprise, more so a normal enterprise. You're not really working towards anything. There's no real roadblock preventing you from accomplishing making money aside from how well you can optimize things on a production/logistical level. It's mindless progression. It doesn't help that the world feels quite lifeless, despite the surface level diversity within Highland Point. Some customers have noticeable personalities, but it mostly feels like you're in a town filled with homunculuses. If customers get addicted to your product, they will sometimes desperately track you down to buy some, being the crack fiends they are, but we'd love to see more. We'd like to see some more dynamic interactions. Honestly, it would be cool to see the city absolutely decay as everyone inside of it gets addicted to drugs, but that's just us spitballing ideas. We found mixing to be the most confusing part of the game. While it is initially cool to experiment with the ingredients, see what you make, you can even get high on your own supply to get temporary buffs to your character, the system just isn't very good because there are certain effects which you can only get by mixing certain ingredients in a very specific order. There is this system which is very complex, and to be fair, it seems like it's very well thought out, but I'm genuinely not sure how people are supposed to figure out any of this unless they look up a guide online. As far as we can tell, there's no real direction to attaining the effects you desire. To be fair, I suppose the intention is kind of experiment with stuff and see how these effects work and react to these different types of ingredients, which would be pretty cool if there was an in-game mechanic to record such combinations made through this experimentation, a cookbook you can reference, but there isn't. The most you have is this really poorly interfaced list that's not feasible to use at all. You're not really given anything to go off of, so you're forced to go online and get what you need there, which kind of takes away from the whole experimentation angle. Again, there's clearly a lot of thought put into this, and it's a good idea for a gameplay mechanic. It has potential, but there needs to be a little more direction. Speaking of that poorly interfaced list, God, it sucks. This is the interface you have to use to put drugs up for sale, and you'd think it would arrange itself to what you have in your inventory, but no, it's alphabetized. So you have to dig through all this stuff to narrow it down to the thing you want. Sure, you can favorite some of them to put them on the top of the list, but it's still something you'll constantly have to put up with. Furthermore, managing your employees is just a hassle. I'm not sure how to explain it other than it's a little too much management to be done in a first-person view. If you want to make a change to your assembly line or you want to fix a mistake in it, there's really no easy way to do that other than just completely redoing it. Even if there's just one tiny thing you want or have to do, you'll pretty much have to start from scratch, which is quite annoying. And the game is quite unpolished for the time being. A lot of bugs and glitches that need to be ironed out. It is worth noting that there is multiplayer, which we actually did get to play little with our boy IVV4.
I know this much is true!
And, you know, it's alright. I don't think there's much reason to play it more than once or twice. But I'm sure there's some novelty in divvying up jobs. One guy works the chemistry station, the other guy mixes, someone packages, and then someone deals to customers. In our opinion, the mode isn't that much to write home about, but it's still cool that it's offered, so nothing against it at the end of the day. To wrap it up, our experience with Schedule 1 wasn't one of a game you sit down specifically to play. Rather, it's a game that requires low effort on the part of the player that you could put on to occupy the other half of your brain while you're watching YouTube videos. And honestly, even though there's other games we'd rather play to suit that purpose, Schedule 1 is honestly pretty good for it. It doesn't require a lot of brain power to play, so your Red 40 infested brain can properly enjoy some of that good content while slinging dope. It's honestly pretty relaxing in that regard. Schedule 1 is a game with a lot of potential. There's a very solid foundation here that will hopefully serve as the base for future updates. The developer plans new drugs, product forms, new workers, drug wars, expansions to the map, and a load of other stuff. Unfortunately, for the time being, while it does make a strong first impression, it ultimately has little to offer, with a gameplay loop unlikely to keep you addicted for very long. Jetavision's score for Schedule 1 is a 6 out of 10. As far as our recommendations, it's not a definite no, but we wouldn't be in a hurry to buy. At $20, it's worth waiting for a sale, or even for the game to push some more updates out to bring it up to speed. In any case, it has a much more suitable home on your wish list rather than in your library. MacCheese of Jetavision, signing out. You all have a good one.